Hey, no, dude, you're gonna be over here.
Okay.
Get in the
Hey everyone,
ring.
getting set up here. Thanks for joining us. It's late.
You're all gonna want to slide over a little bit so that I can get the whole background in there. Hey.
Should I slide over this way?
Yes. Everybody move to your right.
Hey there.
A little farther. A little farther. We're gonna have to slide the table. Oh God! No, go ahead. Sorry, I just like to overreact.
Is that fine?
Yeah, this should be good. I mean, I can't tell for sure until Mario gets here, but that should be solid.
Oh, I didn't check podcast numbers for last week.
I'm sure they're great. We're a huge hit.
Kids these days love us.
Well, look at us. We're all nice, relatable young men.
We're waiting on Mario to get back.
Talking about the foosball.
Talking about the foosball.
Damn foosball players.
You playing the foosball behind my back, Bobby Boucher?
Yeah, here you go. Even though I'm still playing football, I can't wait for b-ball to start. Well, there you go.
Who's got anybody got a coin?
A coin.
I'm gonna flip for who goes first or what?
Need a coin here.
Nice football emoji, kid.
Yes, Penny.
Hey, everybody who's watching the show right now, if you could send a football emoji, I would greatly appreciate that. That's kind of my thing.
Okay. Thanks for joining us. We're almost getting ready. We're almost set up here. Just waiting on a couple little kinks.
There you go, football emoji.
Football emojis. Woo!
We just waited way too long into the season to start doing the
next season, from the preseason podcast on, we're doing the football emojis.
Oh, they are flooding in now.
All three of them.
Well, no, you get them delayed, I guess, because they're here.
Yeah, I got them delayed.
We got a decent amount of viewers. Whenever
All right,
y'all are ready to get
Mr.
going.
Silva, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Mr. Aguirre.
Aguirre, I think.
Mr. Aguirre.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. All your games are Friday. There's no Saturday games for you.
Correct.
Every game's Friday.
Okay, I'm gonna
All right. And in 3, 2. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the RGVSports.com podcast. I'm your host. My name is John LaFollette, and I cover high school sports for the Monitor newspaper in McAllen, Texas, and for RGVSports.com for the world at large. If you listen to this, you already know what it is. We did it, you guys. We did it. It's the postseason. How do you feel? It's go big or go home. Did you bring your A game?
No, I'm bringing my A game Friday night.
Okay. So you're still watching game film, trying to get better.
Yeah, we still have to work out some kinks. We only got one more practice left, but I think we're okay though. I like where we are.
You know, it's all about just putting the kids in a position to execute, right?
That's all it is.
Right.
And take care of the ball.
And just take care of the ball. That's Dennis Silva. He covers 32.5A. I'm John LaFollette, as I said. I cover 31.6A. With me to my left, Mario Aguirre. He puts the read and read option. He covers 31.5A, as I just said. And back on Periscope duty, he'll be on here in just a second. Greg Luca covers 36A.
Absolutely.
And for this season, that's pretty much been the Trevor Spates beat. So
yeah, for most of the year.
For most of the year. So, hey, there's no shame in that. Someone's got to do it. I mean, if you're going to cover any player specifically, why not Trevor Spates, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seems sound.
We're all here. I'm so happy.
We are. First time we've all been here?
First time we've all been here. For those of you listening or watching on Periscope, we apologize. Normally throughout football season, we've done 2 podcasts before the football game started. We were really busy yesterday. We had girls basketball. We had volleyball playoffs. We were all spread out. We didn't have time to come back and do this. So we're going to do one big giant playoff podcast here. We're talking 5A, 6A, 4A, 3A taps. We're talking all of it. We're going to run through all these games. But since Dennis and Mario, their teams play each other, we're going to start with them. We're going to start right into some fisticuffs. I have with me in my hand a moldy old penny from the year 2006. Greg, who should be the visiting team? You're not from Texas. You're from Texas. So Mario, you're the visitor.
There you go. That's sound.
You're the visitor. So I'm going to give you heads or tails, and who's going to. Since you guys are going against each other, your districts are going against each other. Whoever you can defer to Dennis. You can switch sides of the table. That's not true. We're already set in. We got Periscope. That'd be too lengthy. But anyways,
Pretty comfortable.
yeah. Anyways, winner of the toss gets to decide what game they want to talk about first, and then we'll go from there.
Sounds good.
Ready? All right, Mario. Heads or tails?
Heads.
What do we got? It's tails. Dennis, you've won the toss.
I have.
Do you wish to accept or do you wish to defer to Mr. Aguirre?
I'm going to accept.
Okay. All right. And with that, let's begin 5A. With our 5A playoff games, which game are you covering, or whatever game you want to talk about here? What intrigues you the most?
The one game, there's two, but I have to pick one.
You have to pick one. Then we talk about at length. We'll touch on all of them.
Okay.
The one that we're going
You
to
know
talk
what?
about at
I'm going
length.
to start with two top 10 teams, Donna High and Mission Veterans Memorial.
Okay.
Donna High, I think, is 7th. Mission Veterans is 9th. This is a rematch of last year's by-district matchup when Mission Veterans won 17-14 against Donna High, and they had Santos Villarreal quarterback then. They've gone through two quarterbacks since then with the injury to junior Diego Hernandez. They now have freshman Landry Gilpin, who's playing really well. And it's the same old Donna team, the same old Donna ground and pound, take care of the ball, strong defense, and pretty much just grind you to death. And a Mission Veterans team that's the complete opposite and wants to air it out and throw the ball and kind of run that score up. So from a philosophy standpoint and from just an interest standpoint, I think I'm really interested in seeing how this one plays out.
We'll just stick with Donna because that's the game that's the team from your district, I should say.
Yeah.
Have you had a chance to talk to Coach Leal there? How are they just kind of approaching this? I mean, given the fact that this is a familiar opponent from a team that they played here recently, what's just the mood here in the Donna camp?
I think from Donna, the one thing in talking to them just throughout my 2 years of covering them is they're always focused on themselves. They don't really look too much at the opponent. They worry about, they know they've got to take care of the ball. They know they've got to, if they get 5 yards a game running the ball, they'll be fine. And they know they've got to, stop the run. If they can do those three things, it doesn't matter who they're up against, I think they figure they'll be fine. So from that standpoint, what stands out about Donna this year is they are healthy. No injuries, no knickknacks.
Right, I was just about to say, it seems like they're, in terms of just Valley teams, they're probably one of the luckiest teams in the region in terms of injuries, because the big injury news for them was they got a player back. They didn't lose anything. They've only gained as the season's gone along for them. So
true. And Amante Bowen, that player who broke his collarbone last year and then came back to play the last 2 games, he wasn't really himself. He probably shouldn't have played those last 2 games. But he looks great this year, 1,700 yards and 22 touchdowns. He is their workhorse, and it is going to be a different type of Monty Bowen, who's also lost 20 pounds. So he's more elusive, and he's a lot quicker and more agile off his feet. So it's going to be a different type of dynamic there for Mission Veterans Memorial. But the health is, like you said, a big thing, especially for a Donna High team, numbers-wise. The Donna North, they're just getting, they're getting lower and lower. So they've been fortunate to not have those big injuries and not have those JV call-ups or those backups having to play a lot of snaps. They've been, fortunate, and Coach Ramiro Leal knocks on wood all the time, but that's been their biggest key. They're healthy.
Well, speaking of healthy, that doesn't necessarily work for Mission Vets, we'll get to here in a minute with Mario, but you mentioned Landry Gilpin's their player, is their starting now since Diego Hernandez is out. Does that add a new wrinkle? Have you asked Coach Leal about that? Is that add a new wrinkle in the way this Donna defense is going to try and stop this Mission Vets offense?
No, because I think they'll try. They play the scheme, and I think either way, whatever player you put in there, Mission Veterans Memorial is going to do what it's going to do. It's going to air it out. And it's going to be that spread offense, and it's going to attack you. Their wide receivers are awesome. They've got Landry that's playing out of his mind right now as a freshman at quarterback on the varsity level. So basically what they have to do, and they know this, they've got to put pressure on Landry. It's like any other quarterback. You want him to make quick decisions, and you want him to be uncomfortable in the pocket. They have the line to do that. The question is, that freshman quarterback under a different type of environment, a postseason environment, going against a Donna team that's purely used to these big games, having played against, the last 2 regular seasons, Westaco Highs, Brownsville Veterans Memorials, and Ecal Chelsea's, Mercedes, whatever. They're used to the big lights, and now we're going to see if Landry, gets his first taste of a playoff.
Right. Well, you mentioned it's going to be hard trying to stop. Not necessarily hard, but we've seen Landry Gilpin succeed despite being a freshman. And against good teams too. There was that Roma game. Their defense is tremendous, but he carved them up in that 4th quarter and really put that game away for them. But it's playoffs, whole different ball game. This game is going to be Friday at, where is this game at?
At Donna.
At Donna. Benny Stadium. Kickoff is at 7:30, right?
Correct.
So that's for all of you Patriots fans and Redskins fans if you want to go to that one. So give us a score. Who do you think is going to get this one? And then we'll switch over to Mario for the Mission Vets side.
I have Donna 28-24.
Okay. That makes sense. This is one of the harder ones for me to pick because the case can be made for either one. Me, I went with Donna. One, like you said, they're healthy. and two, Landry Gilpin, as well as he's played, he's still a freshman. And
Yeah, I think that'll be good.
that's yeah. So I'm interested to see what happened there. I think it could be close. If it is a blowout, I think it's Donna in a landslide here. But switching over to Mr. Mario.
Before we switch, has Donna showed signs of being able to pass the ball? The Periscope people want to know.
Uh-oh.
Good question. Not consistently. What sets up their passing game is they run, and then they'll do a flea flicker. They'll all of a sudden throw a bomb that you don't expect. But it's got to be that type of surprise element. They're not going to. No one has stopped the run to where they force them to pass. That may be a thing. I don't know much about Mission Veterans Memorial's defense, but if they can stop the run, if they can make 3 or 4 yards instead of 5 or 6, and make them, pass them and see what they can do, I don't trust Donna's passing game. Their passing game is pretty much almost exclusively just big plays, just like flea flicker, just like play action rollout.
Right, they run the ball so much that the defense comes into the line and opens up a deep threat or something.
Yeah, and what's interesting about that is they're capable. I just don't think they're consistent enough at this point because they haven't really needed the passing game.
Right. I was going to say, it seems like like with Weslaco, the joke is at them every year, or they're going to throw the ball. It's like they don't need to because their bread and butter's their bread and butter. So,
yeah.
I mean, but that is something worth noting because
it may come down to it.
Yeah, it may come down to it. Mr. Mario, what say you?
Donna has the third fewest passing yards in the Valley. It's Weslaco, Roma, and then Donna.
Good number.
All three of those
There
teams
you
are
go.
playoff teams, by the way, it should be noted.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there isn't necessarily a right way or a wrong way to necessarily do things. Whatever works for gets you a win, it gets you a win, I suppose. But
I will say this: I think they've thrown 54 times. Donna High has, and I would imagine their yards per catch is just unbelievable, just because of those big plays. But I will also, I think Donna High, what they do, if they get behind by a lot, I don't think they'll start passing. What they'll start doing is trying to be a little bit more sexy defensively. Try to do anything to cause turnovers and put pressure. I think they'll look that way. I don't think they would want to put a playoff game, especially in the hands of their passing game.
you gotta love that sexy Donna defense.
There you go.
Yeah, is that what you said? They got to be
That's right,
sexy.
They have to be sexy. They may have to, they may not. I don't know.
That's going to be a hell of a headline if that ends up happening.
Sexy Donna defense.
Sexy skins defense. Anyways, moving on to Mr. Mario here. Coming at it from the Mission Vets side, obviously Dennis brought up Landry Gilpin. Yes, he's played well up until this point in the season, but again, he is a freshman. Have you had a chance to talk to Coach Gilpin over there, who is Landry's dad, just how they're kind of approaching this game with the freshman quarterback here?
I don't think he's as much of a concern as Roman De Leon, who's one of their probably second most productive wide receiver. Got hurt in the last game against Edinburgh-Vale in the final minute, sprained his ankle. He's a game-time decision. I think with Landry Gilpin, if you were to see him play, you wouldn't think he's a freshman. Maybe in his first start you would, because he tried to do too much with his feet and just scrambled a lot and just a lot of freshman mistakes, but that went away quickly. And I think if you've seen him in the last few games or the last few weeks, he didn't really make a lot of those mistakes. So he doesn't appear like a freshman, even though he is. I wouldn't necessarily put him in that group, especially being the son of a coach. I just think he's not prone to make those mistakes. I think he took his lumps early on against maybe Roma, and then the following game against, was it Rio Grande City or one of those early district games. I think he took his lumps there, and it was short-lived, and I think he's been impressive ever since.
There was a question, obviously, from Periscope regarding Donna's passing game. I have a question regarding Mission Vet's defense, because you look at a team like Donna, and they've got those three playmakers that can just rip off big plays at any given time. How is Mission Vet's coming into this game defensively?
They're ranked the best, third best. They allow 272.3 yards per game.
Which, to put that in perspective, that's about how much Weslaco's allowing per game.
That's right, and that's how much I think about Donna's.
Okay. So defensively, these teams at least statistically, they allow about the same. So
they're good. I think the only concern is injuries, and this was the same thing last year where Avella had injuries on both sides of the ball to starters, and they still beat Donna. I'm not too familiar with Donna. I don't know if this is more or less the same matchup as last season, but I just know that with if they have injuries the same way, because they have Roman De Leon, who's questionable, and they have Johnny Martinez, who's one of their lead backs, who came back a couple weeks ago but hasn't really returned to form. He had like one carry for 2 yards on the last game. So I think that's more the question at this point. Defensively, they've been solid all year, and I mean, that's, I think, what's kept them in these games against like Sherryland. They kept it close. and that's how they've been able to win 4 games in a row, even with a lot of young players on offense with Landry Gilpin and Buda Gonzalez.
With the success of Landry Gilpin, are there any rumors that they might try and trade Diego Hernandez in the offseason for a first-round pick?
Now there are.
Hashtag rumor mill. No, geez.
And that's interesting too. I mean, even Coach Gilpin a couple weeks ago said that when Diego comes back, Landry's going back to wide receiver, and so I guess it kind of doesn't matter how Landry does at this point. He'll be the starter in 2 years from now when Diego graduates next year, senior year.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, he'll have experience on both sides. But I mean, it's an interesting. I wouldn't want to be Coach Gilpin in that sense because that's a tough call to make. I think when you have so much success with Landry Gilpin being able to hold the fort, even though he's a freshman.
Mm-hmm. Well,
he's not going to be Wally Pipped.
No.
Well, Mr. Dennis over here picked on it. You have picked Mission Vets.
Yeah.
And
No bias.
for me, yeah, hashtag no bias at all. This game, both these teams they play so well, and the strengths are so strong for them. I wouldn't be surprised either way what happens here. But
Yeah.
what do you think the score is going to be here for Mission Vets?
I don't know if I put it anywhere, but I mean, I'll just come up with a new one every time.
Yeah, it's all right.
I think I had like 2021 or something.
Okay.
2024.
Yeah.
2024, 2021, so
2021.
ballpark about the same. And again, like I said, I could see this one going either way. It should be noted, the winner of this game in the second round, they get to face the winner of Laredo Nixon versus Victoria West. So there is that. So talked about Dennis's game. Mario, it's your turn now. That was a wonderful halftime show by me, all 10 seconds of it. Mario, what do you got here for the second game you want to talk about?
Roma at Cal Chelsea.
Okay, fair enough. And this was a game that this was one of those games the last couple of weeks we've kind of seen on the radar as a potential matchup, and I was really excited about it because both these teams have such an intriguing style of play. Because Ed Couch wants to air it out, Roma's ground and pound. But we'll get to Ed Couch in a second. A lot of things concerning about this team. Roma, not so much. They've seemed like they've kind of bounced back from that loss, that big loss against Mission Vets. Had that big win against Sherilyn High in the regular season. I guess the biggest question here is Ramon Espinosa. He's had that arm injury kind of lingering over him.
Yeah.
The second half of the season, how's he looking? How are the Gladiators getting ready for this game?
2 weeks ago when I saw Ramon Espinosa, he said he was fine. I don't know if that was just adrenaline from like clinching the playoff berth when they beat Sherilyn Pioneer. But last week he looked good in closing out Valley View, and he essentially rested for 2 weeks, which I guess was a good. It came at a good time for Roma because they sat him out against the Sherilyn and then still beat Sherilyn. And then the following week they had a bye, so during that time he was just doing conditioning, and I think it gave him enough time to heal. And it seems like he hasn't had really much of a drop off since coming back and putting up his numbers here. And he, since returning, has had 133 and 140 yards the last 2 games. So not terrible.
So his production indicates that he's at least not hampered as much as he was if he's not 100% healthy then.
Yeah, I mean, before the injury, he had 3 games where he at least rushed for 260 yards. So 130 and 140, I think Roma will take it, especially because they switched Damon Villarreal from wide receiver to running back, and he's been pretty solid for them. He's alleviated just some of the responsibilities for Ramon, and they have a couple other backs who've kind of filled in here and there.
The story, aside from Ramon Espinosa and his injury, the one constant, not the one constant, but the biggest constant, I should say, for Roma that we always talk about is their defense, and the most significant one. We got an inkling of how good they were even though they lost to Velo, they only allowed 28 points. But then to shut Sherilyn to just 7 points, 6 points. What was the score on that game?
Yeah.
Either way, it was single points that they single digit points they allowed them to. What's been clicking for this defense, and how do you think that matches up against Ed Couch?
Them, when I've talked to the teams about Roma, they'll say that they're big, they're physical, and I think they tend to hold teams to below their season averages every time they play them, as we saw with Vela. And I think Vela blew them out in large part because they had just dynamic playmakers all around, and I don't think there are many Valley teams that have that to that extent at least. So I think if you're going to beat Roma, it's going to be with those dynamic type of playmakers. And so Roma's physical, they're big, and as we've seen too, their roster isn't huge. So
yeah.
I don't know if they could really afford too many injuries, but I think they just did a good job considering the numbers they have there.
Yeah, I've seen Roma play. It was at that Mission Vets game, and something that Greg alluded on the podcast earlier in the season. They've got small numbers, but they do the best of what they can. And props to this team on making the playoffs for a second straight season. Who'd you pick? Give us a score.
Roma
First of all, before you do it, where's this game at? It's at a neutral site, is it not?
Tom Landry.
Tom Landry Stadium in Mission, 7:30 on Friday. So,
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
What give us a score? Give us a prediction.
I think I had the same one. I think I had 21-14, I think,
Okay.
or something like that.
21-17.
21-17 in favor of the Gladiators. What about you? Who'd you pick in this one, Mr. Silva?
At Roma.
Roma? Okay. And why is that?
Because Eckhouse looks like a complete mess.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, the story with them was, okay, Marco Aguirre is going to have a breakout season. Looks like he was going to have one,
will, yeah.
breaks his finger.
Yeah.
But then Andrew Segura, or whoever else, even Teo Valdez, whoever they bring in there, they were on a hot streak there for a couple weeks, and now it seems like that offense is just falling off a cliff. It's just cratered. What's the deal here? Why can't they seem to right the ship on the offense there for the Yellow Jackets?
I think ever since the Mercedes loss, which was 17-14 on a game-winning field goal, they've only averaged 14 points since, and that's the last 4 games they've won one of those games. They're just offensively, they're just all out of whack. It's been Aguirre not being in there. It's been Andrew Segura after a strong start being inconsistent and being a little bit nervous in the pocket and rushing his throws. It's been other guys being out for injuries for whatever reason, and I just think this is a team right now that's just. Not only they've gotten some players back slowly, but they've also sort of lost their way. They lost that swagger, the confidence they had early. They were rolling, they were throwing the ball, they were, you could just tell that looked like the old Ed Couch Elsa swagger of old, and then all of a sudden they hit the skid, and there's doubt, there's uncertainty, there's it just seems like a mess as far as where they feel they should go, and I think now I think there's a little bit of desperation, and that's not necessarily a good way going into the playoffs because you should feel a little bit more relief, and it's a new season, 0-0, prove yourself, work hard in practice, make anew. But right now I just think they don't really know who they are, and that's a horrible thing when you're starting the postseason.
Have they lost 3 or 4? Is that true?
They lost 3 or 4.
They lost to Mercedes, they lost to Donna.
They lost to Brownsville Pace.
They lost to Brownsville Pace. I remember that was my lock of the week. I thought they were going to ride the ship then.
Who did they beat?
They beat Southwest, BHA Southwest.
Yes. And
So-
that wasn't clean.
Yeah, that was a really ugly game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember your lead for that was like someone pretty much had to win. I'm paraphrasing, but something like that.
Yeah,
So,
it just, the challenge is there,
Right.
and Andrew's there, Tay's day to day, and he may be back, and that's going to be a big boost for that offense. Defensively, they're strong, but defensively, it's all season long, just bad personal fouls at the wrong time, just mistakes, giving the other team free yards. If they clean up this stuff and we're more disciplined, I would say, hey, I really think they have a really good chance here. But you're asking me to take what I saw against Donna last week and expect a team that's going to be completely different, and I don't think that can happen in a week.
right. I picked Roma in this one as well. Greg, who'd you take?
This game, I had Roma.
I think we were all on Roma this week. And again, this game has kind of lost its luster. Like I said, these past couple weeks, we've kind of anticipated this one. And Ed Couch never really became the team that they once were. And so, I think we're all pretty safe with going on Roma on this one. Should be noted, the winner of this one will play Somerset versus Gregory Portland. And if Roma and Gregory Portland both win, that sets up a rematch of last year's game, which came down in the last couple minutes for them. So that's something to look forward to as well. But either way, if Ed Couch is going to right the ship, now is a good time to do it. Why not?
That's true. One of the things I do want to ask Mario is, how is Roma's secondary?
Let me pull up the numbers.
Because one thing with Ed Couch is with that passing game, you get up 2 touchdowns on a team like Roma, I'm feeling pretty good. You're asking your defense, you get up 3 touchdowns, it's not a win, but it's pretty close because Roma's not going to throw the ball on you.
Yeah, it was like that at the Mission Vets Roma game that I went to. Mission Vets put up a lot of points, and Roma, they tried to air it out, and you understand that because given how much, I think they ended up losing that game, like 31-3. They only scored a field goal. They tried throwing the ball, but it's just not their strong suit. They kind of struggled doing it, and so, that is a good point. But what do you think here, Mr.?
So 5 times this year they held teams to below, 100 passing yards, 100 yards passing.
In the district or overall?
In district,
I want to know what
in district 4 times.
What they do against Mission Vets.
Mission.
Oh, that was their bad game. That was their one bad game they had this year.
And I'm surprised considering they beat Sherryland without Ramon and
No, maybe every team just maybe have that one game a season where they just kind of let things hit the fan. But I think the Sherryland here is a really good barometer. The Sherryland game and the Vela game, even though they lost that Vela game, both those games are pretty good barometers of what this defense can do. And now in terms of the secondary, I mean, this is your district, so I'm not too sure. But
Against Vela's 95 yards, and Vela throws the ball.
They do throw the ball?
Yeah,
Okay.
so 95 yards, and then Mission Vets was 278. Their season high, and that's the only time they've allowed more than 200 passing yards.
any questions from the Periscope world?
No, we just got a lot of support for Roma.
Props to Gladiator Twitter. Gladiator Twitter / Periscope in Rio Grande City.
Star County Twitter.
Yeah, Star County Twitter / Periscope game on point. Any questions? Feel free to interject. We got Greg back here on the camera. He'll have some questions ready for you. Ready for us from Periscope. He's our filter right now. So you about to make a note, Mr. Mario?
I think the encouraging sign for Roma, even though it may not show in the numbers that they've been throwing, they've had a little more success throwing the ball. There were a couple games where they had 0 passing yards, but they picked it up lately. Had a couple of they scored a couple times recently in the last couple games in there, so that's an encouraging sign for an offense that's otherwise just been pretty one-sided, ground and pound.
Okay.
I will say this one thing too with Marco Aguinaga. His finger looks fine. The thing is off. The little splint thing, he was holding it. Coach Martial Arts says he's fine. He hasn't been cleared for whatever reason, but this was Tuesday, and if he's cleared, they'll know for sure tomorrow. Tomorrow being Thursday, if he'll be cleared. If he's cleared, I think that changes everything. Because if Marco under center is Ekau Chelsea on what they wanted this offense to be, and I think I would be surprised if they let it be known that he's playing Thursday. I would think they would say, hey, game time decision, but whatever, because they don't want Roma to know. But if he's out there, I think that changes everything.
But I think you have to count for an adjustment game, though, or warm-up. Just he's coming back after not playing how many weeks?
I don't think so.
Gosh, maybe. I don't know.
So
I don't think so.
who will be playing quarterback if he's not?
Andrew Segura would be playing quarterback.
Okay, and he's been there most of the year?
Yeah,
or
he's been in place of Marco for most of the year.
Okay.
All but one game, I think,
Okay.
for the most part.
And you said Tay Valdez, mentioning him may not be
starting
coming
running
back, but is he
He's day to
hurt?
day. It looks like he's day to day. It looks like I would think he'll play.
What's the nature of his injury?
I believe it was a knee,
Okay. All right.
but he's missed the last 4 games, so it wasn't like he got hurt last weekend. I would expect him to play. He's day to day, and Martial Art at least.
Okay. 2 more games to talk about in 5A, and then we'll switch to 6A. Let's get this one out of the way. We're all unanimous on Vela versus Porter, right?
Yes.
Okay.
But I want to know how far Mario thinks Vela's going to go. Have you looked at
Who
the
they
matchup?
match up second round?
If Vela beats Porter, that game is Friday at Sam's Memorial Stadium, 7:30 kickoff. If you want to go, Vela plays Porter. If they beat Porter, they will play the winner of Uvalde versus Victoria East.
They'll beat Uvalde, and Victoria East is pretty good, but they could also win that one.
So, and then you're looking at a 3rd round.
Didn't Mario have them going to state in the preseason?
No, I had them at 11 and 1. 11 and 1.
Really?
Let me just pull up their little bracket here real quick
1-1.
that they're in. They're Division 1 5A. Let me see here. Let's look it up here. In the same kind of talent pool, here's some teams they might have to play. They got, like I said, they got the winner of Uvalde Victoria East, and then you're looking at Harlandale versus San Marcos, and you also got Cedar Creek and Vandergrift.
I think Vandergrift.
Okay, Cedar Creek and Vandergrift are legit.
So,
would be the problem.
but they wouldn't play the winner of that
Till fourth
till
round?
the 3rd round.
Third?
Till the 3rd
Fourth,
round.
right?
One of those teams, if they could make it.
Okay.
So
Vandergrift would be the problem team there. You don't want to face them, I don't think.
Or Cedar Park.
But it's so weird to gauge Vela though because
Cedar Creek.
It's so weird to gauge
Cedar
Vela
Creek?
though because like
So that's
it seems like Vela's going to get moved up to 6A with realignment.
Yeah,
So does it?
I heard it's a done deal.
It looks like they're going to
Yes.
get moved up. So it seems like
They should have been 6A this last round.
And I look, and I know that they don't really. I understand that the UIL, makes all these decisions, and Vela is benefited by being a big fish in a small pond.
Well,
here.
Vela wanted to remain in 5A.
Well, yeah.
When they had the numbers they
Well, yeah, because they get to play.
Right,
They get to play Rio Grande City, Valley View, and all these other teams.
honeymoon's over.
So we'll see. As far as where Vela goes, we all have them going to the 2nd round at least.
I would say 3rd round loss to Vandergrift. That would be Greg's pick.
Yeah, we'll see.
Probably, yeah.
We'll see what happens. But yeah, Vela beats Porter. We're all in on
Yeah.
that for obvious reasons. Anyways, another intriguing game. Don't know if we're going to get a chance to go out and cover this one, but it's still intriguing nonetheless. It's Mercedes versus Sherryland. Where's that game at, Dennis?
Sure then.
All right. Who wants to take that one? Who wants to lead off with that one? We let off with you. Let's go back to Dennis. Dennis, the Mercedes Tigers, one of the more surprising teams this season, is supposed to be
Yeah.
not necessarily a rebuilding year, but a retooling year because
Yes.
they lost so many seniors. But they've looked like, here, at least in the second half of the season, they've been one of the stronger teams in the Valley. They were in my top 10. I don't know if they were a top 10 team, but I've put them up there. What do you see?
They were a top 10 team.
Okay. What do you see about the Tigers that could possibly give them an edge here over Sheridan?
If Mercedes is to pull off what I think would be an upset, I think it's got to be the defense. The defense is, I haven't looked up the entire Valley numbers, but it's got to be top.
It's up there.
Yeah,
It's up there.
They're ridiculous.
The better defenses in the Valley. It's Mercedes, it's Roma, it's Sheridan Pioneer, it's Wesco East. Wesco High, and it's Los Fresnos.
Yeah,
those
they're
teams.
somewhere,
Yeah. So they're up there with good teams.
And what I really, really, really like about that offense is they don't turn it over. And especially with the sophomore quarterback back there in Zach Gomez, that's impressive. With the sophomore running back in Fabian Ledesma, that's impressive. They've got some young receivers. They've done a great job of, one, spreading the ball out, getting balance. There's 3 or 4 receivers who can hurt you. There's Ledesma and Isaac Velaz running backs that can hurt you. Gomez himself can hurt you. So they can attack you a lot of different ways. And 2, they don't turn it over. And so what that makes is an offense that sustains drives and gets down the field. And then you add a defense that gets plenty of rest because they're getting on the sidelines and the offense is taking care of business. And then when the defense is on, they're fresh. And that linebacking crew, Roger Adame III, the coach's son, and Fabricio Quintanilla, Damian Ledesma in the backfield. They're just strong, stellar defensively. They've got to play a clean, perfect game, but if any team that I know can play a clean, perfect game, it's Mercedes.
I've made it known that I'm completely on the Zach Gomez bandwagon, their sophomore quarterback. I haven't seen him play yet, but just from the stats I've seen and the things I've read about him and Richard Lefevre, that's the future Valley quarterbacks, plus Landry Gilpin, throw him on there. I'm totally on all 3 of those young man's bandwagons. There's room for plenty more as well. We don't have too much time here, so score and a pick. Who you got?
I'm not comfortable with it, but I'm picking Sugarland.
Okay.
I'm picking Sugarland like 24-21, and it would not surprise me at all if Mercedes ends up with this one. But I'm picking Sugarland. They're at home. I think that does help that atmosphere and that environment. And I think Mercedes is probably a year away from really getting further into the playoffs. But again, I'm not comfortable with that pick at all. But if I'm going to choose one, I'm going to pick Sugarland right now.
Mario, it's your job to satiate Dennis's nerves by picking Sheridan. What do the Rattlers bring to the table here? Because the story with them all year is, this is the year where the Pioneer split is really going to start to affect them. Mm-hmm. So coming into this playoff game, how are the Rattlers getting ready for the Tigers?
I don't think it's affected them in that they lost 4 games this year, and this is a team that only lost 1 regular season game in the previous 3 seasons. But they still have the second best offense in district, and they still throw the ball as much as anyone except the Mission Vets, which is up there in the Valley. Mm-hmm. The good thing with them, and they've had this, I think, just as long as they've been here in the Valley, is they have 2 quarterbacks, and sometimes they go as far as 3. But with Seth Carter and Manny Gomez, I think it's a good combination. They don't necessarily alternate them every other drive like they did in the past, but if Seth Carter isn't doing too well, they'll put Manny Campos, and they've had instances like that where Manny Campos will light it up, and I think you could just pencil in Sheridan having a really good passing game because both of those are going to be off on the same day.
Well, can you really pencil it in?
Yeah.
Because Mercedes' defense has played very well this year, and I know that it's not, they had the benefit of going up against teams like Donna North and PHJI, but still, what was they pretty much shut down Ed Couch. With Donna, they only beat Donna.
280 or compared to
they did a real good job of limiting Donna. I think that here's how I'm approaching this. I think that yes, Sheridan had all that turnover, but they still have kids that saw varsity time last year, and you've got a lot of sophomores on this Mercedes team.
Yeah, and I think this might be overlooked too, is that Sheridan has played a lot of close games, a lot of competitive games. They hung in for a while against the McAllen Memorial. They lost to Vela by 1 point. They beat Mission Vets down the stretch 29-27. So it's not like I think last year where they were blowing out all these teams and maybe they didn't have that experience of playing someone close. Like they've been in a lot of close games this season. I think that will help, especially for a group that was as young as it was this season, or maybe inexperienced. They got a lot of that experience this year. And I think they're better because of it going into the playoffs.
How many touchdowns for Seth Carter the party started?
6, 7, I don't know. He's been a little bit off the last couple weeks, and that's where they've had Manny Campos fill in. So either way, I mean, if he's not airing it out, I mean, he'll be there at receiver. They've had him at running back. I figured he's probably up there in terms of all-purpose yards, just because he does it all for them.
Score and a pick. Who you got?
Sherry Lynn, did I? No, I didn't. Did I?
Yeah, you have Sherilyn 28-21.
Yeah.
So both close.
Yeah.
I'm with Dennis. I'm taking Sherilyn, but I don't know how comfortable I feel about it. But you make good points too. Miss Sherilyn's been in close games. They've won some. They've also lost some, most notably against Vela by 1 point, and then against Sherilyn. Even though they played bad, it was still a close game. They could have won. I'm with Dennis on this. I think Sherilyn wins, but if Mercedes pulls the upset, I'm not scratching my head wondering what the hell happens. So
I think too, Sherlin just has a lot of productive running backs. I think that kind of gets lost because they throw the ball so well. But I mean, Seth Carter runs the ball well. Manny Campos, their backup quarterback, also plays receiver and running back, and he's done a good job for them this season. They have Sergio Tornero, who is the brother.
Talk about them like the New England Patriots.
Huh? Yeah.
Talk about them like
Yeah, they are.
next man up.
Yeah.
You have any questions?
Well, one sentence or less respond to these Periscope comments. Sherilyn High is too reliant on Seth Carter.
No.
Okay, and Mercedes is 1 year away.
Yes.
Okay.
I would say they're not.
Wait,
they have
From what?
That's all it said.
1
Just
year
do you
away
think they're
from
gonna be
just
really
winning
good
a
next
playoff
year?
game,
I
probably.
guess so. Yeah.
They're 1 year away from next year. They Seth Carter, no, just because they have many Campos there, so it's not
I would
like
agree,
they live and die by his production.
Yeah, that's fair. It should be noted. Also, we didn't say where this game was. Well, we said it's at Richard Thompson Stadium. That's Friday, 7:30. All the 5A games in the Valley are Friday at 7:30. That's at Sherilyn. The winner of this will play Cal Allen versus Medina Valley. If Mercedes and Cal Allen both win, that sets up a rematch from a Week 1 game where Mercedes, they looked good early. They scored the first touchdown, and then they gave up 35 points after the fact and lost 35-6, 35-7, somewhere in there. But that's something that should be worth noted. Before we go, we're still going to do Lock of the Week, although there's an exception now. I will let you pick a non-Valley team.
Oh, that's not fair.
Yeah.
Didn't I do that before where I picked the Mexican
You picked the
people?
Mexican team.
Yeah.
Because there's going to come a point. There's going to come a point where Valley teams are going to
Not
be
the
over.
first week.
All right, first week. All right, Greg. Oh my God, Greg. All right, first week. You still have to pick a Valley team to win.
Okay.
So we'll change the rules next week, but we still got to get a lock of the week. Mario, you've already picked Vela. You've already picked.
Haven't picked Bella?
I think Shirley.
I haven't, right?
Everyone's picked Vela.
Everyone's picked Bella.
Everyone's picked Vela. You've picked Sharon too.
Greg's taking Harlingen. You guys all lose.
Greg's lock of the week's going to be Harlingen over Economides.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Okay. I'm picking Laredo Alexander over my guy.
You can't pick a non-Valley team.
Oh, I
starting
can't.
next week. Starting
Oh,
next
okay.
week.
Miguel Moore.
McCallum Memorial. You've already picked McCallum Memorial.
Yeah, I was going to say you want to pick.
Everyone's picked
What do you
McCallum.
guys know?
Except for him. I don't think you picked McCallum Memorial.
Oh, I thought I had.
I should have brought the paper with me. Let's just say that Let's just say that we can't pick
Yeah,
McCallum
that's true,
Memorial
that's true.
because I think we all picked McCallum Memorial and we all picked Bella during the regular season. How good? I'm taking San Benito over PSG North. That was my lock of the week.
San Benito over PSG.
I'll get Roma then. Roma over.
Rome over EE for Mario.
A lock?
Yes, lock.
It's thin this week, man.
It's not even a bold lock. It's just lock. Lock
Okay.
in.
I'm going to go with Gruya over Gonzalez.
Gruya over Gonzalez. Hey.
Classic Dennis move.
Hey, why not? Why not? So there we go. We'll talk about Harlingen and San Benito for the 6A, but I had to get your lock of the weeks, and we did it. We're all here. Anything else from 5A before we let you guys go? We'll let Greg come in here for the 6A. And anything you want to say?
No.
Anything you want to say? Here.
No, but don't be surprised if 32-5A goes 3-1 against 31-5A.
Oh, I was gonna say before you go, you have to
was
give
gonna-
me a don't be surprised if. So that's your thing, because last year the story with this
They
dish,
all lost.
They all lost in the first round. So don't be surprised.
Don't be
if-
surprised if Vela is the only 31-5A team to come out a winner this weekend.
All right.
Of the matchups.
Okay.
Mario's making a face.
Mario, don't be surprised if
31-5A goes 3-1.
who'd be the one team that would lose.
And who would be surprised?
Mission
at that?
Vets. Your
Mission Vets, maybe.
I thought
Well,
you were
you'd
gonna
be
say.
surprised.
I thought you were gonna say sweep.
You want to be bold and go for a sweep? 32-5A blanks out for a second straight year
You
in the
might have
postseason.
picked that
I will.
already, right?
I will.
All right,
You
Mario's
think
go
I said it in the
bold.
picks, right?
Yeah, I believe you picked.
Yeah.
So
Mario's going bold. He's taking a 31-5A sweep over 32-5A.
Get out the brooms.
Oh, man.
Yeah, to be fair, I have that in the picks, and so does Mario.
Interesting.
Well,
I think Donna's the only 32-5A I picked. I think they were. But again, I wouldn't be surprised
You know
if
what's
Mercedes
hilarious?
wins.
No, you like Mercedes.
Huh?
You like Mercedes? Oh no, that's us.
No, I didn't take Mercedes. It's Cheryl.
Yeah, never mind. You're right.
Anyways, we did it, guys. 5A.
If 32-5A gets swept, will Dennis show up this time for the recap podcast?
Oh.
Snap.
Well, I'll be at a Vipers game. So if y'all hold in to
Oh, yeah. Saturday, we're all
What time is
swamped.
the Vipers game is the 7th.
We are
No, well, we can't do it till after Saturday because I got games planned.
Oh, true.
That's true.
Yeah, what?
We'll have to do
You
a
got a game
special. We'll have
Saturday.
to do a special. Anyways, he's
4
got the Mac High game on Saturday. We'll figure that out. Anyways, 5A's over. I excuse you. I excuse you, gentlemen, of your duties. You are relieved. Mr. Gray, you can choose either side you want to sit on.
You have to move over a little bit.
All right, I'll move over.
We have
a
to
little
keep the
bit.
perfect symmetry.
The perfect symmetry.
Rule of threes.
Move over that. Move over that.
Okay. Move over. This is a riveting podcast, by the way.
Well, you know, it is what it is.
Thanks for sticking with
you
us,
could've
by the
paused
way. I know this show's going to go a little bit longer.
Could have boxed it, but why would we do that? The people love to hear us.
The people love to hear us
witty,
BS about
our
stuff.
witty banter.
Greg,
I like banter. I don't like witty banter.
how you doing?
Good, man. How are you?
Good. Good. It's another.
Get my cues. Hold on.
It's another day here in Paradise in the Valley.
Yeah,
It's mid-November and it's still 91 degrees outside.
Yeah, I switched to jeans over the weekend and switched back today.
Yeah.
It got a little not chilly, but it got jeans weather.
Hashtag things white people say in the Valley.
There you go.
It got a little chilly, so I put on some jeans. Anyway.
Damn it, John.
I'm teasing. Anyways, who wants to go first?
Well, you're the host, man. You make a call. You got the coin still?
I do have the coin. I'll let you flip because you live farther away
Call
from
it in the air.
heads.
Push up.
Heads, it's me.
All right.
I defer to you. Let's start with you. Because
Wow, I didn't see that coming.
I'm going to defer to you because you, even though this may not be the best game, I think it's the best storyline. Obviously, it's McAllen Memorial. They're playing Laredo United South?
Correct.
Okay. Some of those you can never really, I always get it
Right.
confused. McAllen Memorial is playing Laredo United South. This is where the rubber meets the road for McAllen Memorial. They've sleptwalked through the regular season all year long. Trevor Spates has done Trevor Spates things all year long, as we all knew he would. So
Right.
this is the part of the year where we start to define the McAllen Memorial Mustangs. The story with them is they can't get past the first round. Trevor Spates can't win a playoff game. Do they get over the hump his senior year, or does he leave an unfinished legacy? What do you see happening in this game?
I think that they're going to win this one. Now, they are the vastly better team. United South is 6-4. They were no juggernaut over there. There's a reason that they made the playoffs on a tiebreaker, and that the Valley's top team is facing them in the first round of the playoffs and hosting them for that matter. So I think you have to favor Memorial. Now, I was over there today, and I guess to explain this, I have to go back to the beginning of the season because this was obviously the storyline coming into the year too, about how they hadn't won a playoff game yet. And so I was talking to them then about, well, how are you going to approach the playoffs differently this time around? Is that something that's really driving you guys throughout the season? You know, what's kind of going on? And their motto is remember the feeling, and part of that is remember what it was like to lose in the first round last year and how disappointing that was. But talking to some of the players today, I think it's a lot of the same stuff that got them in trouble last year for some of these guys. I think there's a decent amount of knowing how well they did, and you got to think about they scored 60 points per game this season, which is insane, and won by an average margin of just about 40 points a game. Closest game they played was 19. So they're used to winning, and they're used to winning by pretty wide margins and not being tested. And they, perhaps realistically, have aspirations of going third, fourth round, and maybe even farther. So that is something that they're definitely thinking about already at this stage. And you have to wonder if it's going to be something that trips them up a little bit on Friday. Now, I am not scared enough to even think about picking against them, but you know, and there might be a little bit of writing on the wall. I know I was talking to their captain, senior linebacker, Sam hosted today, and he said that he sees that some of the teammates are like looking at the brackets and stuff and talking about who we're playing in the third round. And he's like, "What are you doing? Like, stop! Like, we have to worry about this game right now."
Yeah.
So if they can get that under control, that would be the only pitfall I could see for them in terms of this.
That really concerns me, what you just said, because you know this is something you talked about even over the summer. Is like what happened with Memorial last year. They played so well, and it's like, you know, some guys seemed like they were looking ahead, and it's history repeating itself here. Now, ultimately, everything kind of revolves around Trevor Spates here. So do you know how Laredo United's... Do you have any stats on Laredo United or any kind of information you can kind of contextualize how they're going to be able to kind of come at Trevor Spates here?
Not defensively necessarily, although I think they had some decent score lines. But I do know that in terms of their offense, I believe it was a little more run-heavy and a little less pass-heavy.
Okay.
I just don't think that this is a team that's going to match up. I don't see them just purely from if everybody's playing their A game giving Memorial any problems. The only thing that we really need to be worried about is what kind of shape Memorial shows up in and how they approach the game from a mental standpoint.
Can Trevor Spates break any... Well, he can break a lot of records, but realistically, if he goes for about what his season average has been on a per-game basis, is there any kind of record at stake here? We've got to wait in at least another game?
So for the yardage for the Valley single season, he still needs 2 games to potentially get into a good spot for that one. In terms of the touchdowns, he tied the Valley career touchdown record last week and would then obviously break it with another one. And I think that's the big ones at this point. He's also in pretty good range for the single season touchdown record. I believe he is just 2 away from that one.
Okay.
The Valley single season touchdown record.
What?
Definitely 2.
Give us a score. Does he get out? Does
Yes,
Trevor Spates get over the hump?
I have McAllen Memorial 36-17.
Okay.
I think. Mario, were there some comments on this from the Periscope? I think I saw some stuff flowing through.
Yeah, they want to know just the next round looking ahead. McAllen Memorial
McAllen Memorial versus Laredo United. Whoever wins that gets the winner of Harlingen versus Econ. Looks to be Harlan.
So I would favor McAllen Memorial in that one. The thing that I'm thinking about, and maybe I'm just as guilty of this as they are then, but I think the third round matchup against Reagan would be one that would really give them trouble. You'll remember that Reagan got a little scared from Harlingen early in the year, and then from there went on to go undefeated and be one of the best teams in the state.
Yep.
So, go ahead.
And some people want to know what a Trevor Spates is.
Yes, that is the question, isn't it? We'll find out if he can get it done in the playoffs, just the way he got it done in the regular season.
What is a Trevor Spates?
Yeah, because there was an interview one time when he... So what did he say?
He said he was at some sort of combine or camp, and he said, "I'm just here to show people what a Trevor Spates is."
Yes.
And that's awesome.
That's good. Props to that.
That
kid.
was what gave birth to the Trevor Spates yards and Trevor Spates touchdowns, I believe.
I just want to show everybody what a Trevor Spates is. That's props to that kid. That's a great answer.
Yeah.
That's good.
He's he'll be quick with his answers sometimes, but you'll get something really quotable in there.
That game, Memorial versus United, it's in McAllen.
It's in
here.
McAllen,
It's at the Memorial Stadium.
McAllen Veterans Memorial Stadium.
So it's a home game. It's a
Indeed.
home game for them. That is Friday at 7:30, isn't that?
Yep.
All right. And that game, like I said, the winner of that one plays Harlingen versus Econ. We all picked Harlingen. So we won't spend too much time on that one. Should mention props to Econ. 3rd time in the playoffs in 4 years under Gabe Pena. Shouts to them for making it this far in the season. But Harlingen, you just look
Different kind of level of team.
Different kind of level, certainly. Econ's defense, I'm a believer in their defense, and especially next year they're going to be better too because they got 9 guys coming back. This was the best defense in 31-6A, but their offense, statistically at least, but their offense, it really struggles to put points on the board, and you can't do that against a team like Harlingen that has those two players in Jesse Castro and Leo Tiendes. So I'm picking Harlingen. That's our 2 cents on that game, right?
Seems sound.
All right. What do you want to know about? Well, let's stick with also.
I won the flip. Let's.
Yeah, what do you want to do? Want to come back to me, or do you want to run through this Juarez-Lincoln game real quick?
Let's go to the other McAllen game. I think that's the more interesting one.
Okay.
That'll be Saturday. That's going to be Laredo Alexander at McAllen High. And I think both of these teams, just on paper, and again knowing the McAllen High side of this a lot better than the Laredo side of this, are a little bit worse than they were last year. I think McAllen High did not run through this district the way we expected, and were not competitive in the game against Memorial. And I think Laredo Alexander, just looking at their results, they did not have a great season either, and they finished the year 4-6. So it's 2 teams that are traditionally pretty strong and maybe are not in their best years, but I see this being another very close game, just like last year's was, just based on the fact that they both sort of slid back a little bit.
Then, given some of the similarities in terms of their backsliding, what's the difference maker? Because you picked Mac High in this game, and almost everyone else picked Alexander. I think maybe it's just the non-Valley team reputation here.
Right.
But what stands out to you about the Bulldogs here? Why take them despite some of the, as you said, some things not necessarily going their way this season?
I'm just hoping that this team is getting better as the year goes on because of the fact that the last couple of weeks they've started to win these games and it started to feel more complicated. And yeah, he is. We talk a lot
Excuse
about.
me. There's some dust here in the room.
Yes.
That makes me shout out the names of good running backs.
If you have a knock on McAllen Memorial, it's that Trevor Spates means too much to them, but I think McGowan means more to Mac High.
Oh,
than
yeah,
than
certainly.
Spates means to Memorial.
I believe.
Really, he provides a huge chunk of their scoring and a huge chunk of their total offense, and without him, they haven't been able to get much done. So he obviously has been outstanding, and I think if he can hit a big play or two, that can be good. And again, like I was saying, the young defense coming along from McAllen High, hopefully getting into better form now. In the win against Palmview last week, even though the score was one-sided, the total yardage was a lot closer than I would have expected. So you don't love to see that if you're projecting Mac High's future here, but I don't know. I'm just gonna take the home field advantage insofar as that exists, and take McGowan probably being the best player on either team, and just sort of ride that to hopefully a Mac High win for my picks.
Winner of Mac High versus Alexander will face the winner of Piache North San Benito in the second round, and I guess we'll touch on San Benito's Piache North here real quick. We all took San Benito. That's my lock of the week. Seems like, San Benito. The two teams they've lost to this year were Harlingen, a team they split the district championship with, and McAllen Memorial, who ran over everybody else. Finally,
Right.
That's not bad.
yeah, that's not a bad resume. I was talking to Coach Pena from Piache North on the phone today. He said, San Benito, they're a one-school town, so they get all the talent and they get all these big, strong kids. And he said, he looks at them offensively and defensively, and there are very few things that stand out as weaknesses, if any. And he was honest. He's like, they're going to have their hands full. The Raiders are. So,
John, I have nothing against you personally, but I don't like the one school town thing as if they have way more kids. The enrollment still ends up being about the same.
right, but I'm just saying, it doesn't. It helps when you have,
It would help
a pool of
to have
talent
more bodies.
concentrated in one area.
It would help to
I'm
have
not
more-
saying that's everything, but that is something.
Yeah, but I think a lot of that is just maybe in their heads, just because of how things are. I guess the lines or the limits or just the zones. And San Benito's between Harlingen and Brownsville. So, I don't know if they're maybe
Right.
getting some of those Harlingen kids.
But there is a thing to splitting. It's happened to Sherryland.
Well, right, because
yes, having more people helps, but
I think
you're
that's
dividing
I
up.
think that's the only factor.
But you're dividing up a talent pool as well. There is something. I'm not trying to say that that's the only thing here, but I feel like you're understating, and I'm not trying to overstate. It's something, but it's not everything.
Flip 1979 says it does help. Look at La Jolla now.
No, it obviously helps, but I think it's because they have more people, not because of anything geographical. If this place was called something different, like if it was called Two Towns and the school was San Benito Elsa, you know what I mean? They would be just as good.
Well, sure.
I don't like.
But look at Allen, Texas, up by Dallas, that wins state every year.
Well, right,
they're the
that's
largest.
They have 7,000 kids.
Yeah, but you know why they have 7,000 kids? Because they won't split, because they don't want to divide up the talent for athletics so they can win football every year. That's
Right.
why.
But
there is something to this.
So San Benito has 2,800 kids, though. You wouldn't split that into 14 and 14.
Well, right. No, yeah, but I'm just saying.
No,
Anyways, we all picked San
a
Benito. We all picked San Benito over Piache North. San Benito will likely play the winner of Mac High over Alexander if they take care of
whoever
the Raiders.
wins, I would think San Benito's got a pretty good shot in that game as well.
Yep. Okay.
And I said this too for a couple of years too. Los Fresnos, when I was in Brownsville more than a year ago, I think they had the highest enrollment in the valley. And I said at that point, if they split that up, that hurts them.
Los Fresnos is
significantly.
big. I think Los Fresnos is the biggest high school in the valley.
And they get a lot of kids. A lot of kids from Brownsville will get bused into Los Fresnos because it's their neighboring towns.
Anyways,
2016 Los Fresnos.
enough about zoning and districts here.
Till the spring.
At least until the springtime. We got two Weslaco games to talk about here. Also, we need to mention La Jolla Juarez Lincoln goes up against Laredo United. Congrats on making it to the playoffs for the first time, Huskies. But
I have an announcement.
yeah,
If La Jolla Juarez Lincoln wins this game, I'm going to get this shaved into the back of my head. It's the La Jolla Juarez Lincoln logo with the JL and the big husky.
why don't you go a step further? Why don't you get it tattooed on the back of your head?
No.
Shave your head, get it tattooed on the back of your head. When your hair grows back, it'll be covered. No one will know it's
I
there,
don't-
except for the people who work at the Monitor, people who listen to our RGVSports.com podcast.
That would hurt a lot, and I'm afraid you might see it through my hair. But I can shave it in there for sure.
Well, there's your challenge, Huskies. Make Greg look silly. Hashtag Husky. Hashtag Husky Cut. How about that?
Hashtag husky cut. I like that.
Hashtag Husky Cut.
So there you go.
And if people want to know what the Huskies for, you're from Connecticut. You say it's for UConn.
Well, the JL is going to be hard.
The jail's going to be hard. Well, John LaFollette.
I lost it. John LaFollette.
Jacob Rodriguez said just a small tattoo, Greg.
Just a small tattoo.
See, I actually
You can get like a tramp stamp of it on your lower back.
Yeah, I don't
You get it behind your ear.
Get it behind your
That's what some
ear.
girls do.
Anyways,
These are all terrible ideas.
the winner of Juarez Lincoln versus Laredo United plays, nice segue, the winner of Weslaco versus Los Fresnos. That game is Friday at Bobby Lackey Stadium. Kickoff at 7:30. This is one of the few 6A teams where it's like this can go either way. Yeah, it seems like you've got your haves and have-nots in some of these games. Weslaco, Los Fresnos, this can go either way. This is my district technically because I'll be there covering this for Weslaco at least. I don't cover Los Fresnos, but what do you want to know? I'll tell you.
Well,
To the best of my ability.
so what's the key matchup to watch in this one? Is there any unit that you think has to show out for this?
It's
for that
all
team?
going to be about Weslaco's, in my opinion, it's all going to be about Weslaco's defense frustrating or limiting or sacking Los Fresnos quarterback Rene Ortega. It's all going to hinge on that. If they can get pressure, keep him on the ground, limit to what he can do offensively, and keep someone on him in the pocket as well. Because he's Ortega, he's their leading passer. He's the leading passer in the Valley with about 2,500 passing yards and 26 touchdowns. But he also leads his team in rushing. They don't run the ball that much, but he's effective. He can beat you both ways, I should say. But it's all going to be about limiting how he can hurt you in the passing game, getting pressure at him, and not just getting pressure, but also maintaining him in the pocket, not letting him keep plays alive with his feet. It all hinges on that for me. So, and Weslaco, defensively, they've got about 24 sacks on the year. They have two guys, Major Free. I'm forgetting the other guy. I apologize. He's got 4 sacks as well. So they've got guys that can get after it. But
let me ask you, sorry.
Yeah.
How's Major Free? Because I think he got hurt the last game, right? Or kind of went down for a bit.
Yeah, he looked it was really weird. Did I say Major Free or Justice Free just now? I know they're
Major.
brothers.
You said Major.
Justice Free is on defense. He's the defensive end. He gets the sacks. Major Free's the running back, but I'm glad you brought him up because in that Weslaco East game last week, he took a really nasty spill. Looked like on the video replay in the press box, everyone kind of went because his leg bent in a way that knees aren't supposed to bend. But we thought it was like an MCL or an ACL tear because he was on the ground, he was not getting up, and he was writhing in pain. It was pretty visible. But he got up, went to the little bench there on the sideline, and they weren't looking at his knee. They were just like rolling his calves or his hamstring. Like he just had a cramp, and like 4 plays later, he's back out on the field. So he seems to be fine. I had a chance to talk to Coach Villarreal, but he finished that game against Weslaco East. I assume he's going to be good to go against Los Fresnos. But anything else you want to know?
Well, how has Weslaco done against the teams that have tried to pass the ball against them? Since Los Fresnos is going to be primarily a passing game.
Well, PSA Memorial. They beat them 50-something to 6,
That's not really
which
the
they beat.
same
They beat Edinburgh North 42-10, and they like to throw the ball a lot. It's kind of hard to gauge because they just sleptwalk through this whole district competition, except for Weslaco East. You look at a team like Harlingen. They don't really throw the ball as much as Los Fresnos, but Weslaco struggled to kind of maintain their athleticism. That was early in the season. And Coach Villarreal refers to non-district games as practice, so it's kind of hard to kind of gauge what was going on there in terms of giving guys certain snaps or playing time. Here's the thing for me. Yes, Weslaco's defense is very good, but Los Fresnos is better, and they have a more dynamic playmaker on offense. Those two things lead me to pick Los Fresnos. Having said that, I would not be surprised if the Panthers win. They are at home. They have some momentum. They've won 6 straight, I believe. They haven't lost since non-district play. And even the losses they had were very close. They lost by a touchdown to Harlingen. They lost by less than 10 points, I think, to Corpus Christi King, who they played in non-district. It can go either way, but as I said, Los Fresnos has the better defense, and Rene Ortega is playing lights out right now. And I not to say that I don't think Weslaco's defense can get it done, but I give Los Fresnos the benefit of the doubt here.
I'm not sure. The thing, looking at the stats right now, Los Fresnos' rush defense looks like it's been maybe about average for the district, and the pass defense has been what's really set them above. And that's not
Which makes sense because for that district, there's a lot of good quarterbacks. There's a lot of teams that throw the ball in 32-6A. In 31-6A, there's teams that throw the ball, but they're not in the playoffs. They're all run teams.
Right.
So that's a
you
good.
got to know if the
that's
option,
a good point you bring
maybe
up.
the option game could give them a couple issues here.
Right. And the thing with Weslaco, with Los Fresnos, at least statistically, they've got the one guy that does so much for them. Not to take away from everybody else on that team, but Rene Ortega is their guy. Weslaco offensively, they don't have one guy. They've got 4, 5, 6 guys, and especially at the running back, they're loaded at that position. And I've talked to Coach Villarreal about it. He says with the depth comes freshness. During games, they can give Brian Garrett 5 snaps. They can give Major Free, 2, 3 snaps. They can give Usayo Gonzalez 4, 5. Every guy's fresh when they need him to be, and I think that's worth noting, at least here for a playoff game. So.
I think a lot of times with a matchup like this on the first drive for Westlaco's offense, you'll know whether Los Fresnos has the tools and the reps to stop the option game. And then from there, it'll be a lot easier to make the pick. I'm thinking that, Westlaco, maybe it is something that they're not prepared for, that Westlaco can get something going on the ground. That would be why I think I picked them in this game.
Yeah, you picked Westlaco. This was pretty split, and I think it kind of speaks to just the unpredictability for this game. I picked Los Fresnos. I wouldn't bet my life on this game. I wouldn't bet anything on this game because this game can go either way. Both these teams are very, very good. They've both been in the top 10 all season long. Los Fresnos has lost just one game all season. Who did they lose to? It was Harlingen, who Westlaco also lost to. So
right.
there's some commonality there. But I'm taking Los Fresnos. But if Westlaco wins, I'm certainly not. Like I said earlier about Mercedes Shirley, I'm not searching for answers as to what happens. So,
yeah, it seems sound to me.
There's one more other game. Just to reiterate, winner of Los Fresnos Westlaco gets the winner of Laredo United versus Suarez Lincoln. Looks to be Laredo United. So, one other Westlaco team to talk about. This is Division 2.
And one other La Jolla team to talk about.
Oh yeah, La Jolla Palmview. They got Del Rio, which we'll get to. Let's talk about Westlaco East first.
Sure.
Let's do that.
Is it the same situation where the winners play each other? Right?
Yeah, Westlaco East plays Brownsville Vets. Winner gets Del Rio versus Palmview winner. So
start with your half.
Westlaco East Brownsville Vets. That game is tonight, i.e. Thursday at Bobby Leckie Stadium. The winner of Westlaco High versus Westlaco East got to pick which day they played their playoff game because both these teams are playing at home. Westlaco wins. They wanted to play Friday. They get Friday. Brownsville won on Saturday. Westlaco East won on Thursday. Westlaco East obviously won the flip. But East, a lot of people were scratching their heads like, why does East want to play a Thursday game and have to give themselves a short week in the playoffs?
Right.
They've had short weeks all season long. They played 4 Thursday games. They're used to having this kind of quick turnaround. Brownsville Vets, they played a lot of games on Saturday. They're used to having an extra day to get ready. So at least in terms of practice and the scheming, Westlaco East seems to be favored here. But here's my thing with Westlaco East. I picked them to win, but I don't. Again, the same with Westlaco Los Fresnos, can go either way. With Brownsville Vets, they're very tall. And Westlaco isn't known for their height. They're known for their strength. They're known for being strong. They play so big despite their size because they're in the weight room all season long. Brownsville Vets poses a height disadvantage. I've seen Brownsville Vets play. They played PSA North earlier in the season, and it was height that again was a big difference maker in that. You had tall receivers that just would go up and get open lobs all day, no matter how many PSA North cornerbacks were on them. So, was there a question for the Periscope?
Manny Hinojosa said that he's been in 9 Brownsville Vets games and that they don't look healthy. And I guess part of that might have been Marcus Castillo, their quarterback, who was, I think, hobbled at some point in the season. Yeah,
Marcus Castillo got hurt. And again, 32-6 teams are out of our journalistic jurisdiction, I should say. We don't go past Mercedes in terms of who we cover. We don't go past Mercedes. Vets 5A, 6A, 4A, whatever, or any sport, not just football. But it seems like that has been a thing for them. And they come into this game, at least with Brownsville Vets, they've lost 3 of 4. And yeah, they lost to Harlingen, San Benito, Los Fresnos. All those teams are good. And then they beat Lopez, but at one point Lopez was up on that game. Was up on Brownsville Vets in that game.
Yeah, like first quarter at least.
Yeah, it was like 14-7, something like that, 7-0. But that's taking that into account. I just feel like Westlaco East, yeah, they lost to Westlaco High. Yeah, that loss stinks because, it's a cross-town rivalry. If it's for the district championship, you want to get that game. But they've still won 7 of their last 6 games.
7 of their last 6 games?
6 of their last 7 games, excuse me.
Oh my God.
6 of their last 7 games, I misspoke. Ever since they beat La Jolla High 52-0, they didn't lose up until Westlaco. So they've had a pretty good go of things there. I give Westlaco East the benefit of the doubt, as you said. They're healthier, they're at home, they're on their own schedule. And I maybe it's also probably just home district bias because I covered this district. I'm more familiar with these teams. I've only seen Brownsville once. I've read about it from afar. But just looking at things on paper, I like Westlaco East over Brownsville Vets. I think in terms of looking at matchups, I think it's going to come down to both I think there's going to be a lot of points scored. Both these teams are really good offenses. Their defenses are improved, but they're not quite at the Westlaco Roma level. Expect a lot of points. I just think Westlaco East is going to get more points. So
Here's the thing, is that with Brownsville Vets, they got to the meat of their schedule, and then they lost to all 3 of those teams. Mm-hmm. And so that makes me question them because the best team, they have a win against Donna High, which is good. But other than that, they don't have any impressive wins, at least in my opinion. Now,
there is a common opponent here.
Yes.
San Benito.
And PSJ North.
And PSJ North, yeah. Both these teams beat PSJ North. Both teams, Westlaco East kind of didn't really put that game against PSJ North. The score box is it shows a game that was closer than what it otherwise was. Same with that Browns-Silvette's game. PSU North scored a late touchdown to make it look like less of a blowout. Both those teams handled PSU North pretty soundly.
And they seem to have the similar result against San Benito, too.
Yeah.
My thing with East, though, is I don't see a really impressive win on their schedule either to this point. I mean, the Economedes and Edinburgh North, that's cool, but they had, like, the game that was going to be the same way that those 3 games were the test for Vets, Westlaco was the test for them, and they did not beat that team. So, and it was a close game, and they were right there. So,
Yeah.
I think they're both very strong, but I think they both are a little bit of haven't really gotten a signature win yet for either team this season. So that's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a really good point. And again, like I said, I'm picking East mostly just out of familiarity because I don't know too much about Brownsville Vets. Now I can see this game going either way. My score, what did I pick here? I think I picked...
It's over here.
Who did I pick? 31-30 Wesco East. I picked a 1-point game. I
It
think
should be an offensive game, right?
It should be offensive. I think you're going to see a lot of points scored. I think Wesco East is just going to score more, like I said. So, anything you got to do? Like I said, winner of this place, Palmview Del Rio, second round. Who do you like this one?
I like Del Rio in this game. Palmview concerns me. They've had some people get injured down the stretch. They lost 3 straight games to close the season. They finished 2-4 in district and backed into the playoffs on some bizarre 4-way tiebreaker. So I just can't. It's impossible to feel good about them at this point. The only thing that's working in their favor is that Joel Pena, who we talked a lot about the first half of the season, and was one of the Valley's leading rushers and leading scorers at that point, got back over 100 yards in a big way last week. It was the first time he had more than 100 since week 5, and he had 240.
And why was he? What was the reason why why the sudden drop off?
He had some injury issues and he had some personal issues. That's all I could figure out. That's all they wanted to reveal about that one. Obviously, kid's got his privacy or whatever.
Understandable. Yeah.
Certain things that were limiting him from either being involved with the team or playing his best in a given game. There was one game he missed entirely, and a couple games where he had 1 or 2 carries, and that was really it, and didn't do much with them. So, yeah, really, really big deal for them if he's back to full strength, but I don't think it's enough to beat Del Rio just because of the fact that you look at this Laredo district, and these teams have all kind of beaten up on each other, but I think they're all pretty strong. So Del Rio just seems like a really solid team, balanced, big, physical. I think that's kind of Palmview's game, but Del Rio's probably better at it.
Very. That brings us to the end of 6A, is it not? You got anything else you want to say?
No, I think we've covered it.
All right. That's before we go, we still got to touch on the small schools.
Yeah,
small,
4A, come on.
We also got to talk about 4A and everybody else.
Dennis made Gurria's lock of the week.
We got. I'm just running down the list of games here that I have on my schedule from top to bottom. Rio Hondo versus Yoakum. We all took Yoakum except for Dennis, who took Rio Hondo.
Heck yes.
I don't know anything about Yoakum. When it comes to
Fun
games,
to say.
when it comes to games like this, I just usually end up taking the non-Valley team just because it usually ends up working out that way. Although I know Rio Hondo had a pretty strong season, so
Defense.
I wish them the best of luck in that one. Lyford versus Goliad. Speaking of fun team names to say,
I
Goliad.
hope Yoakum and Goliad playing.
Yoakum and Goliad, partners at law.
They could be like the Lord
What
of the
is
Rings duo.
what is Goliad's team mascot? Look it up, Mario. You look up Goliad, Mario, and
I get to go Yoakum?
Yeah, you get Yoakum. Great. Look up Yoakum. I want to know what these are. I'm gonna guess Goliad Gators and Yoakum Lions.
Oh, it's Yoakum Bulldogs. Very creative.
Yoakum Bulldogs. What about you?
Tigers.
Goliad Tigers.
Oh my God, why would you do that?
What about when you got a cool name like Goliad? Like
Should
get
be the
some,
Gladiators.
like Goliad Gladiators. Like even some more alliteration like Goliad Gorillas. I don't know anything. Anything
Gorillas.
with a G. The Gorillas.
Is there gorillas?
With
Is there a
Z?
high school that has gorillas as their mascot?
I'm sure there is somewhere. It's a big country. Moving
And
on.
they're going Gorillas.
Lavia versus Refugio.
Yeah, they're a top 10
Powerhouse.
team by the AP. Last year they were up there. I think they started the year at number 2
Okay.
in Class 2A.
So it looks
I've
like
been going over some record seasons for the McCallum Memorial stuff, and Refugio shows up a bunch of times. They're
Okay.
typically very strong.
All right. So it seems like Lavia's going to have their hands full in that one. We all picked Refugio. Am I saying that right? Is it Refugio or Refugio or
Refugio. I was saying it in Spanish.
Refugio? I
There
can't
you
say
go.
I can't say anything in Spanish. I just butchered that. I apologize to all you Refugio people out there. The next one I see on my list, we got La Feria versus Beeville. We all took La Feria.
And Beagle's not wrong.
LaFeria's had a good season.
They've had a
They're
very strong season.
8-2 or something like that. Yeah.
I don't know anything about Beeville, but I just went with La Feria because I give them the benefit of the doubt. Gruya versus Gonzalez. We all took Gonzalez except for Dennis, who picked Gruya as his lock of the week.
That guy's so bold.
Gruya has been a bit up and down this year. Their quarterback got Anzaldúa is his last name. I forget his first name, but he got a feature written about him, and then Aguirre just lost 3 straight. So Dennis Silva put a curse on him.
The Dennis curse. He's trying
Don't
to
be mad
reverse
at
it.
us, Aguirre fans. Be mad at Dennis Silva for cursing your team.
What's my motto?
We got Port Isabel versus Cuero, and Greg, you and I have Cuero.
Yeah, we like Coach Bill Littleton's old team.
Port Isabel picks for them. We got Dennis and Saul, our page designer here at the monitor. Taps. Got to talk about Taps. Seems like our last one here. We got Midland Christian versus Brownsville St. Joseph. We are all on Brownsville St. Joseph.
Not
except
true.
for you.
I'm on the Midland Christian bandwagon.
What about is it just you? Are you all by yourself on the Midland Christian bandwagon aside from Midland Christian
I
football
assume
moms?
Midland Christian people are still there.
Okay.
But you look at the Max Prep page, they had some good results, and I think that they might surprise some people.
All right. So you're saying that Kai Laney's going to go bankrupt?
Oh! What a way to end the show!
That's what a journalism degree gets you, folks. Tacky puns.
1:58 in the morning, he is still sharp.
Oh my God, it's 1:58 in the morning.
Manny Hinojosa wants to know who was on the upset alert.
Who's on upset alert? Oh man, that's a great
Well,
question.
John wants to put McAllen Memorial on upset alert.
I don't want to put McCallum Moore on upset alert.
Well, I think
A
we
little
saw
bit.
some- we saw some-
I don't want to, but they kind of
Right.
put themselves there with
Right,
some of the
that's
things
what
they're
I
saying
mean.
and the
I think
attitude
that's
they have.
accurate.
I think if it happens, we wouldn't be shocked.
Upset alert. You know what? Oh man, upset alert. I'm gonna go.
Always hard to define that because
I'm gonna go.
Alexander over Mackay.
I don't know if that's necessarily upset because
It would
both
be a
those
little
teams
bit.
are kind of statistically the same. I'm gonna go Roma over Ed Couch. That could be an upset to me
Yeah.
because Dennis said Mark Roganago might play. Who knows if they get that offense back on track? I still take Roma to win, but that could be an upset for me.
The Roma defense is not shaking one bit. They
Nah,
say every
nah.
now and then.
As they shouldn't. They shouldn't shake over what I have to say. Who's your upset alert?
Well, I'm guessing. I'm going to pick McAllen High, so I guess I can count that, but I wouldn't think so. Mission Vets I have and you guys don't, and Westlake was one I have. I guess we're sort of split on that. I guess I didn't make an upset pick.
Okay, I'm playing it safe. What about you, Mario? Upset alert?
St. Joseph doesn't have an upset pick.
Let's see.
Let's see what Mario had. Anything out of the ordinary here?
Let's say Westlake over Los Rezos.
Yeah, that's what I said. We didn't really want to count that. Mission Vets over Donna. You have that seems a little bit.
Yeah, that could be an upset.
Is it? I mean,
I don't know,
split.
but
We're
so many of
split,
these
though.
games, it's hard to kind of pick an upset because so many of these teams, on paper, they look so similar. So, Westlake Caliste upset?
Yeah,
I don't
we all
even
picked
know.
Westlake Caliste.
I don't even know if that's an upset.
That's what I'm saying. It's hard to define.
Yeah, it's hard to
upsets.
define upset this week. I mean,
At least in this games we have seedings. There's teams that are higher seeded, but even then, cross district, it's hard to say who you would
Yeah.
pin as a favorite.
Unless we go by it as like what would be the most outrageous response that we would have to a team winning, but then they lose. I guess Porter beating Vela seems really far fetched. I don't know
if Porter beats Vela, will you get the Porter logo cut into the back of your head?
Sure.
It's just a star. Anybody could do that.
Well, you could say it's for the Cowboys.
That's
I would
You're a
never
real
say
big
that.
Greg Hardy fan, aren't you?
No, I
Mario?
think it was.
hey.
No, I'm teasing. No one should be a Greg Hardy fan. If you're a Cowboys fan,
Oh God.
send a strong message and just burn all your Cowboys gear because they endorse, underpent and limit beaters, all for the sake of money, which
What
is
a
great.
way to end our really happy, really go well.
No, I'm really happy. Because it's the playoffs. This is what it's all about. We spent all summer, right? Not all summer, but a good chunk of August going to two-a-days and getting a sunburn from just being out in the sun for 10 minutes talking to
Sweaty.
coaches. And now here we are. This is the meat and potatoes of the season, especially for some teams like Bella and McAllen Memorial. We're really going to see what these teams are made out of after coasting so much this season.
And we're
I'm
probably
excited.
and we're probably on the road next week too. Some of us maybe.
I'm excited. I'm excited to see what's going to happen.
Hey, there's some big volleyball matches on. This
Yes,
week
I was
as
going
well.
to say volleyball season's underway now. Volleyball playoffs.
We're deep into it. There's two teams
deep
remaining.
into it.
McAllen Memorial and McAllen Rowe are still alive. They will play in San Antonio this weekend. And typically, this is the round where they run into some teams that give them problems. But doing a quick max prep search of the other guys, I'm not sure that they're necessarily going to be overmatched in these. So it could be interesting to see how.
If one team's going to lose, who is it? Between Memorial and Rowe. If one team's going to lose, who is it?
Rowe had the better season, so I would have to say Memorial.
Okay.
But man, they've both looked. I mean,
They both look
Memorial
really good.
Swept Los Fresnos.
Yeah.
We had Los Fresnos ranked ahead of them literally the entire year. Los Fresnos looked like the second best team in the Valley. So
Yeah.
that was a pretty.
That's going to be
surprising
fun.
result.
That's going to be interesting to see what happens there. So.
See, in football, it's the third round wall. In basketball and volleyball, it's fourth round.
Yeah.
And soccer and softball, it's no one.
Yeah, track and field and all that, yeah. But, so, if they win, they play again on Saturday. This is the fourth round of the playoffs, though.
Yes, this is the regional tournament. This is where they get the 4 teams there, and then somebody goes to state.
Seems like they all meet.
Yeah, they're all in.
They're all
in San
there.
Antonio.
So they're 2 wins away from going to the state meet, which is in.
Why you gotta do this to me?
Which is in.
I don't know. But
Peter wants to know why you don't know.
the interesting thing is that if they both won, they could potentially play each other in that game,
that's cool.
which would be insane.
That would be fun.
Didn't that happen with soccer?
They're
Or deep in the playoffs, or
I'm not
somewhere?
sure.
Not this year, because I would know about it.
Okay.
Also should be noted, swimming and diving, there's a meet in Brownsville. Boys basketball season starts next Tuesday. Girls basketball season got underway on Tuesday. There's plenty of tournaments this weekend. Some teams are in Corpus. Some teams are at the McAllen Round Robin. A bulk of teams will be at La Jolla, and a bulk of others will be at the Westlake tournament. So now's the time of year.
And boys basketball preview will run Monday, and I think we more or less know who should be the feature team, but we shouldn't give it away. But that's
Nah, we
Monday.
won't give it away. But yeah, that's
If y'all like high school sports, we got you.
If y'all like high school sports, we got you. And you can find this podcast or this Periscope or this YouTube clip on our site, RGVSports.com. You can find not just football news, but volleyball news, girls basketball, swimming and diving news, and boys basketball news.
And wrestling pretty soon.
And wrestling pretty soon. And also, you're going to be covering UTRGV. We got Vipers going on. All the sports right now.
Right.
In the Valley. So we appreciate you sticking around with this extra long edition of the RGV Sports
This is
Talk.
what happens when you do one mega show, man.
Hey, you know,
It becomes
this
mega.
was fun. This was fun. I liked it. We were running at an hour and 13 minutes. So thank you for listening to this. If you listen to this podcast all the way through, thank you so much. We appreciate your time. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope it was as much fun for you as it was for us. On Periscope, it is 2 in the morning right now. Go to sleep. Thank you so much for checking this out. We are on iTunes. This audio is. Search us, RGVSports.com. We're on there. Hit subscribe. If you want to follow us on Twitter, it's at RGVSports. On Facebook, it's RGVSports.com. If you want to follow Greg, where is
Greg Luca.
Mario.
Mario_Aguirre, and then the RGV Sports YouTube channel, Periscope channel. And
We're all out there.
Yeah.
And I will be, I'm at John Fillet. I'll be at Westlake East Brown's Little Vets. So if you want updates from that, follow along. And we'll be back. I don't know when we're going to be back. It's going to be busy this week covering volleyball stuff and other playoff
We
games.
might have to do it late Saturday night. We might have to figure something out on a Sunday. We'll figure it out.
We'll figure something out, but nonetheless, we'll be back recapping playoff action and getting ready for another week of football. So thank you so much for your time, as always, folks. And we'll be back. Take care. Whatever game you go to, hope your teams win, and I hope you stay safe and take care of one another. Thank you so much. Oh, my gosh.
Flip said that we should get back on Ustream. I don't know. I haven't been here long enough to know if we have. We weren't last season.
I don't know what Ustream is.
Ustream is like...
It's like Periscope, but for the web. It's
and
like,
it was before Periscope, and it was like longer form.
yeah. Not Charlie. What's his name? Charlie Sheen? He did one of those.
Charlie Sheen.
Yeah. When he was on his winning.
Charlie Sheen thing.
Greg, entertain the people.
No, dude, we gotta go.
Okay.
Peace out.
Hey, brother.